right, Tide Nation Wednesday, hump day of a number one form for Bama. Football news, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, touchdown. Alabama Magazine, Crimson Tide taking on New Mexico State this weekend, Bryant-Denny Stadium. Bringing you the show from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming this to you on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, drop that thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on, hit that bell so that way you can have all of your news, notes, alerts, coverage, and entertainment from your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. Got you covered also on Facebook and Twitter as well. A lot of things to dive into on this evening. A little bit later on in the show, we'll have my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, coming on here, providing a recruiting update. Alabama had some visitors over the weekend at Bryant-Denny for the LSU game, and a lot of those guys really enjoyed themselves. Alabama also got a huge verbal commitment for the 2022 class in the form of a 4-star defensive lineman. We'll get with Justin on that later on in the show. But we want to hear from you tonight. Ring those phone lines. You can do so by calling 205-448-1358. That's the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. The daily super chat goal, $75. Daily super chat goal right there. Alabama men and women's basketball went off last night. The men's team, J.D. Davidson, Juwan Gary, Jaden Shackelford, Javon Quinley, Coach Nate Oates did their thing against Louisiana Tech. And then how about the women's team under Christy Curry scoring 109 points in his first win of the season over Charleston Southern. But before we get into topic number one, my man John Ivy for Talk Your Talk. What them comments looking like, John?
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on in the chat? Thank you for joining in. We got Gelato in the chat. We got Jeremy Scott on Facebook. What's going on? We got Naomi, what's going on? We got Greg McKinney in here. John H. is in here. George Stokes is in here. Plow Joggers in here. Aaron McGuire is in here. Waylon, what's going on? Thank y'all for joining in. Roll Tide and Rise Up, what's going on? Thank y'all for joining in. The Talk Your Talk segment, sponsored by Team Paper. Make sure y'all like the chat up. Ask your questions in the chat. We'll get Steven to answer them. It's going to be a lit show. Ohio 117 just came in. What's up? Appreciate y'all and enjoy the show.
Absolutely. My man John Ivory reading those comments. You guys, make this your show. Your opportunity to chat in, text in, write in, call in. Let your passion, your thoughts, your opinions ooze through the chat line, the phone line, and things of that nature. But we're getting it out. Topic number one here of the conversation. And, John, I know for a fact that for a lot of people out there, the important games on the schedule, people look at Arkansas, people look at Auburn, people look at the potential SEC championship matchup between Georgia and Alabama. But for me, the most important game for Alabama is this game right here against New Mexico State. This game on Saturday, Bryant-Denny, 11 a.m. kickoff in New Mexico State. This is the most important game to me right now. And I know people are going to laugh and be like, New Mexico State, really? No, ain't no way this is the most important game. It is. It is. This is a New Mexico State team that comes in at 1-8 on the year. Should be a team that Alabama should dominate from start to finish. But I've said this before. When you get to this point right here in the season, the College Football Playoff Committee, they want to see at what point can we stop your tape and go, I've seen enough. This team has dominated the opposition from start to finish. This team has owned the opposition from start to finish. This team has convincingly showed us they're one of the best teams in the College Football Playoff. They're one of the best potential top 4 seeds in the CFP. So when it gets to this time of year, you really have to prove to the committee you belong here in this playoff. And Alabama has not played a complete game all year in terms of the offense and the defense playing a complete game together. We've seen moments this year where the offense has played well and the defense has struggled, and then against LSU last week, We saw where the defense played like crazy and the offense struggled. So, Alabama fans, you guys are waiting for that moment where you see the offense, you see the defense, they're both playing together, they're both playing dominant, they're both playing in unison at the same time. And for me, I go back to 2015 for just a moment here, and that was a team that had Jacob Coker at quarterback, a first-year starter, Derrick Henry at running back, Heisman Trophy winner, Calvin Ridley, true freshman superstar at wide receiver, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, true freshman superstar in the defensive secondary. Now, Alabama suffered a loss to Ole Miss in that year, lost 37-43, and a lot of people were like, why we lost to Ole Miss? Why Bama lost to Ole Miss? Why that happened? Why ain't no way in the world this team should have lost to Ole Miss? What is going on here? Now, although the Tide would find its quarterback in that game, Jacob Coker was benched to start the game. He comes back in that matchup and really gave Alabama a shot in the arm and almost won that game. Other parts of the team were still kind of unknown. You knew you had Derrick Henry. You knew you had some talented wide receiver led by Calvin Ridley. But there were other parts of the team that were still quite unknown, that were not made to surface yet. So you go prior to the game against Georgia, Alabama has a matchup with Louisiana Monroe at Bryant-Denny Stadium. And the moment Lyle Monroe stepped off the bus, them jokers peed their pants. They were like, crap, we got to go against Alabama. And Alabama did not let the Warhawks breathe. They didn't come up for a puff of air. Alabama put their foot on Louisiana Monroe's neck and did not take it off. I mean, defensively, Alabama in that game, 6 sacks, forced 12 punts, created 2 turnovers. The Warhawks converted just 3 third down tries on 20 attempts, with 3 third down on 20 attempts there. The Warhawks also shut off the scoreboard. Final score 34-0. Offensively, Jacob Coker had 2 touchdown passes. The run game had over 100 yards rushing there. Calvin Ridley or Darius Stewart both caught touchdown passes. But the point being, prior to being dominant throughout the remainder of the season after a loss to Ole Miss, that 2015 team made it known against Lyle Monroe, we are the real deal. You ain't messing with us. You ain't trying to run up on us. We mean business right here. And they took that Lyle Monroe game and they had the Warhawks with straight amnesia thinking, what did we just enter? Why did we have to play Alabama? Why was the Crimson Tide on our schedule? What in the world did we just got ourselves into? So that was that matchup. And when you look at this matchup right here against New Mexico State coming up this weekend, that's the same type of mentality that Coach Saban, that the fans want this team to bring onto the field, not letting New Mexico State breathe, not letting this team come up for a puff of air, not letting this team get anything started, anything established, because you're trying to show the committee we are one, where Alabama's one of the top teams, the best seeds here, the best programs in the college football playoff ranking. So, some things that need to be corrected here in this matchup. Number one, offensive line woes have got to be fixed. The issues on the front line have got to be solved this week in practice leading into this game. Now, according to Coach Nick Saban, center Darian Dalcourt, the junior from Maryland, came in the 2019 class. He suffered a lateral ankle sprain against LSU. He's listed as day-to-day. His status for the game still kind of uncertain as to right now. Now, if he plays, he's out there, and Chris Owens will be at right tackle. If Dalcourt does not play, Chris Owens more than likely at center, and Damian George at right tackle. But this is a game for Doug Marrone. You got to get the best 5 guys on the field and see who wants it, or the best 4 guys, because Evan Neal wants it. So you got to get 4 guys on the field that want it just as badly as Evan Neal does, and see what do we have moving forward here, because you cannot have miscommunications there on the offensive line. You can't have defensive players just coming through, getting to Bryce Young. Coach Saban mentioned, teams copy each other. After watching what LSU did and what Florida did and what Tennessee did and what Texas A&M did, New Mexico State's thinking, or also what Mercer did as well, New Mexico State is thinking, we may not have the caliber of athletes that those teams have, but hey, if they can get to Bryce Young, if they can put some licks on him, if they can get Bryce on the ground, then maybe we could craft the scheme. Maybe we could craft the strategy. Maybe we can craft the schematic here, if you will, and we can get something to Young as well. So this is a huge moment for Doug Marrone as the O-line coach. It don't matter what this man has to do. The offensive line has got to be right. These woes have got to be fixed. They've got to be settled before you talk about Auburn, before you talk about Georgia. So big game here, big week here for Doug Marrone and the offensive line. Moving on down to number 2, Bill O'Brien in terms of the play calling against New Mexico State, it's got to be crisp. This play calling has got to be spot on. You cannot have any wasted plays out there on the field. And to me, it's got to be a balance in the run and pass game, as well as taking those explosive shots downfield. You got to get more guys involved in the flow of the offense. You got to use the running backs more in the passing game. The play calling for Bill O'Brien has to be spot on from start to finish. From the moment that ball is kicked off to the moment that clock hits 000, O'Brien's got to have his best stuff. O'Brien's got to have his best play calling on the field, whether it's more passes than runs, whether it's more runs than pass, whether it's a balance, whatever he's got in that play call sheet, every single play or the mass majority of these plays have to hit. There's got to be domination in this game from start to finish. You are showing the committee, because the national talking heads are already saying Bama's a shaky number 2. I don't know if Bama can do it. Bama's extremely vulnerable. This is not the Bama we're used to seeing. Georgia's going to smother them if the two have to square up right now. So against New Mexico State, if you're Bill O'Brien, play calling's got to be on 100 where this team is concerned. When you go down to number 3 here, defensively for Alabama, this is the game where it has to show we have turned the corner. Alabama's turned the corner. Alabama is 100% dominant out here on this field. It played well against LSU, but now against the Aggies of New Mexico State, this team should not even get a field goal. New Mexico State should not even get a field goal in this game. New Mexico State should not get any explosive plays in this game. Even if there's a small play that the Aggies get, it's got to be quick adjustment, fly to the ball, be ultra aggressive. If I'm Pete Golden, I'm blitzing, I'm getting to this quarterback, I'm making every single play out there on the field defensively, because you got to show Alabama is the real deal out here. So defensively, no misalignments, no communication errors, everybody getting the call in and getting the call made across the board, sacking the quarterback, getting to the quarterback, getting to the ball carrier, creating turnovers, being that relentless group, being that relentless team, having that relentless fire on the field, not even letting New Mexico State come up for a puff of air. Put the foot on the neck and keep rolling. That's what this Alabama defense has got to do out here, led by Pete Golding from start to finish. And so last but not least here for Alabama, the penalties, mental errors, mental lapses, you can't have those. Cannot have the bonehead penalties, cannot have the bonehead mental errors, cannot have the mental lapses. You can't sit there and miss a block and allow a guy to go in and ear hole on Bryce Young. You can't sit there, miss a block, allow a guy to go in and ear hole Brian Robinson. You can't sit there and not fit your run gap and allow the running back for the Aggies to score a touchdown. You can't sit there and let a receiver go right by you for a score. You got to be buttoned up, prepared, ready to go in all phases of the football game. And New Mexico State, they bring in a top 25 passing offense in college football. It's ranked number 23 in the country. The Aggies are averaging 278.1 pass yards per game. They have 5 receivers who have caught at least 20 passes on the year. Their receiver room, these guys are all 6 feet and taller. This Alabama secondary has got to be all the way locked in. So that's that right there. This matchup here against New Mexico State, Bama has got to show the world we're not a shaky number 2. This is a strong, dominant, focused, locked-in football matchup, football team. This matchup this weekend, the most important one, because Bama's got something to prove to itself and to the College Football Playoff Committee here. We go to a break right now on the show. Don't touch that dial. Just getting started. Upon our return, we go to the phone lines to take your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your text, your interactions. We go to you, the Bama Nation, for a conversation right after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
9 players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they've put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
As we're back into the break here, folks, on number 1 forum for Bama football news, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate everybody for checking us out here on this evening on a Wednesday. Guys, shout out my man Jimmy Badman Clay in the building with that $25 donation helping us out here on the show. Appreciate the love there from Jimmy Clay. And who else we got there, John? Let's see who else we got here. We got Cliff Reese with that $5 donation helping us out here on the show, showing love, appreciate it, from Jimmy Clay and Cliff Reese. Now, I know a lot of you fans out there are wondering, okay, what does New Mexico State mean anyway? It's a cupcake game. Alabama should blow through those guys. Why is this game even important? Here is why this game is important, people, because going back to what I've mentioned, Alabama has not played a complete game all year, where the offense and the defense were both clicking, where the offense and the defense were both dominant, right? So, going into this matchup here, what's the national consensus? Georgia's going to win the SEC. Georgia's going to win the national championship. Georgia is the best team in college football. Alabama is shaky. Alabama's inconsistent. Don't trust Alabama. It don't look like old Alabama. Alabama don't look like themselves. Georgia looks more like Alabama than what Alabama looks like Alabama. And even Coach Saban has shared the same sentiment of there are areas on this team that are not where they need to be in. So the reason why this game here is important, this provides you with an opportunity to clean all of that up in terms of showing that marquee play on offense, crisp play calling, hitting all your blocks, hitting all your assignments, taking care of business. Everything is done correctly. Everything is done efficiently. Same thing defensively. Having all the calls made on the field, breaking down, making tackles, flying to the football, sacking the quarterback, creating turnovers, doing all of those things that can build that confidence consistently going into the Arkansas game, the Ole Miss game, and throughout the remainder of the season. So that's why I was getting it there. But we take our first call here on the show. You're live here on a Wednesday. What's going on? How we feeling tonight? State your name, where you calling from.
Well, Stephen, I've been thinking about this as old President Whaley. We had a good conversation there last night about the situation that happened there Saturday night. Of course, LSU is still on the Paul Feinbaum show today bragging about what they've done, which still makes me want to sort of go in the bathroom and puke. This New Mexico State team shouldn't even get a field goal. They shouldn't even get past the 50-yard line. If you want to know what I've got to say about it, I don't. I don't know. I'm still afraid Alabama's going to give up that 1 or 2 touchdown junk touchdowns. They always do. That worries me. And we talked about them being 20-23 in passing yards efficiency. Those tall wide receivers. At secondary, Stephen's going to have to really tighten the banjo strings up. What do you think?
Secondary's got to be ready to go. And Malachi Moore talked about that on Tuesday, that this whole group on the back end has got to be keyed in and locked in. But this is the reason why they've got to play a complete game, because if you give your ear of attention to the conversation out there, it's Alabama's not the number 2 team in the country. Alabama's not good. Alabama's not dominant. You even got Coach O saying, well, we whooped up on them. We whooped up on them. They're not what they used to be. They're not what they used to be. If we would have made a little bit more plays, we would have got them. So when you got Coach O doubling down on his statements from last week, and you got the national perspective saying Alabama ain't good at all, at some point you got to show we here. So this is the point right here that has to be made. But we appreciate weighing in there for that phone call getting us started. We grab this call right here. You're live on the show on a Wednesday. What's happening? What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Stephen A., it's your boy Senator Hines, a.k.a. Coach Snoop, man. How's it going tonight?
Man, doing good, man. Doing good, man. Hey, Senator, I saw the video you posted, man. You are the pimp of the Blue Wrench Gang.
Yeah, man, that was my Halloween gaming thing. But I was calling in, man. I got to speak on it now. I'm very disappointed at majority of the Alabama fan base. And if you're 23, 24 or older, this stretch of games this season we've had, it shouldn't worry you. We've been in worse predicaments under Saban. In past years, we've been in worse predicaments before Saban. Yeah, we've been, spoiled the past decade with winning, always been in the college football championship talks and all that stuff. But the fact that we actually have to play full games and compete this year, and guys have to learn, as they grow, as we play, they grow and as they learn. I think we fail to realize what's really happening. We got guys growing up on the field. A lot of these guys didn't play a lot of snaps. Yeah, they were starters last year, so we had to fill in and do this and that. But we have a pretty young team, and yeah, 9 games in, we still inconsistent. But the fact that we're winning and while being inconsistent, it's scary because we all know. We've been watching Nick Saban since he showed up. I've been watching Nick Saban since he was at LSU. Nick Saban has a way of finding guys, a way to mix things up. And, it's always that one game where we click. And I said this last time I called, and I'm going to keep saying it, because it's going to happen, Stephen. I don't even think it's going to happen in this game because we're supposed to win this game. I feel like Arkansas, Auburn game, we're coming in dialed in, Stephen. Bill O'Brien, play caller, run the ball. If we don't have more than 30 rush attempts this game, it better be because the 15 or 20 that we do have, breaking for 60-plus yards. You know what I'm saying? Like 30-yard break. That's what we should be looking for this game. Not so much as high scoring, but just dominance, And who cares if we give up a field goal? They got one of the highest scoring offenses in the nation. They got one of the most efficient offenses in the nation. If we could throw them off their averages, by a great amount, that's success. People got to stop looking at, we gave up this play, Alabama doing this. It's football. We're winning. We're still winning. We lost a tough game at A&M with a young team. We had Bryce Young is still a freshman on the field. He just crossed over to be a sophomore probably last week against LSU with his first real test after, some experience on this belt. So we got to appreciate what we're seeing happen because this team winning right now, look what we got coming back next year. look at the expense we got coming back next year. So we got plenty of space to grow. We got time to get it locked in. Like I said, I honestly think New Mexico State New Mexico State might have 9. They might get 3 field goals. I agree with Waylon. They should have scored a touchdown, but they might get 3 field goals. They got some guys that can stretch the field. And honestly, Steven, one thing I did want to speak on before I get off, losing Marcus Banks was not worth it. Josh Jobs was not worth losing Marcus Banks for. Marcus Banks could have been in that rotation with Job went down, when Jalen Armour-Davis went down. It's so many spots we could place him at. The level of talent that he has, it wasn't worth losing him. I don't like the fact that Job has been giving him many chances. I don't like the fact that Henry To'o has been given as many chances. I don't like DeMarco Helms all the chances. Daniel Wright, all those guys. We got all the talent behind them. This might be a trend, Steven, and if this happens with a few more players who showing promise or who have that hype for the future, we might be in trouble over the next few years. Recruiting it doesn't just happen with new guys coming in. Recruiting is about retainment too. So I hope we're paying attention to that while we keeping guys on the field, missing tackles, and getting 98% of the passes that they coverage end up in pass interference. When other guys on the sideline have already showed that they are better. They're better at coverage. So that's appreciate what's happening. Because I promise you it's going to happen. We're going to click, and we're going to look like old Bama. I don't want to look like old Bama. I want to see the next level of Bama, just like we've been seeing for the past 3 or 4 years. It's always went up and up. So that's all I got to say, Steven. And that's where I'm going to leave it at. It's your boy. Appreciate y'all taking my call, man. Roll Tide, and y'all know I love this TDA stuff, man. Love y'all, man.
Appreciate Coach Smoke. My man Senator Hines calling in, leaving his thoughts here on a Wednesday. We grab this call here. You are live on the show on a Wednesday. How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
How's it going, Steve? Stacey Johnson, Hatcher, Shelby, Alabama.
Couldn't quite tell, but say it again. Couldn't quite hear that.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Stacey Johnson, Hatcher, Shelby, Alabama.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Alabama, good show right here. Good show right here. This team's got a chance to prove to the College Football Playoff Committee it belongs in that number 2 ranking. But appreciate that call right there. We grab this call here. You are live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name. Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Steven? This is Elijah calling from Jersey.
All right, Elijah, what's happening with you, man?
Oh, man. Same old. I'm not going to dig too much into that LSU game because, like I said, I only watched the first quarter. Honestly, I'm not going to dig into this New Mexico State game because if Alabama plays to the Alabama standard, this game shouldn't even be a contest. I want to dig into everybody come down on these guys that transfer. And I want to get your opinion on this too. We all know this year with Alabama, they've been down. They haven't showed the consistency that we are used to seeing. We got spoiled to seeing. Now, like Coach Smoot said, this coaching staff has been given a lot of guys on this defense, a lot of guys on this offense, so many chances, so many opportunities to correct themselves. We 9 games in. At the end of the day, how do you think an 18, 19-year-old kid is feeling on that sideline when he sees the player in front of him really ain't getting the job done, constantly making mistakes, and he's sitting on that sideline not getting the opportunity to prove himself out there? It's discouraging to some kids, and you got to be a strong individual to be able to bite the bullet and stick to the grind and stick to the process, knowing, hey, I'm not getting the opportunity to show my skill set. I'm out here practicing 5 days a week, just like everybody else is, for an opportunity to get to play. This guy in front of me has been making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake all season long. I understand why kids like Marcus Banks want to transfer, and people want to bash him. Oh, he's not a team player. Why is he doing this in the middle of the season? I understand why this young man is saying, you know what? All the effort I'm giving in practice, it ain't being noticed because this guy can sit up here and blow coverages every week, and y'all still sticking with him. That's discouraging to a 18, 19-year-old kid. Let me know how what your take is on that.
Elijah, it can be discouraging. It really can. And I'm a fan of Marcus Banks. I was a fan of him when Alabama got him in 2019 from Houston, Texas. Good size, really aggressive, strong tackler, can cover, really good ball skills. We saw that when he got the start there against Mercer for Josh Jobe, got his first career pick. I really like Marcus Banks. So to me, it was perplexing when Josh Jobe did not start the game. I'm thinking Marcus Banks is going in because he's the immediate backup, but Saban puts Kool-Aid out there. And while people want to see Kool-Aid also, Banks was the next guy in line. So I could see his frustration. I see the frustration of a lot of guys that feel like I'm not being heard here. I'm not getting the attention I need to get here, so let me go somewhere else. So definitely see. And from that perspective, I appreciate Elijah there for that call. We grab this call here. You are live on the show. What's going on? How are we feeling? State your name. Where you calling from?
Hey, Stephen, man. This is Donnell, man, from Birmingham. Man, first time caller, man. I just want you to know I enjoy your show, man. Enjoy your content. Very, very, very informative, man. Glad to be on tonight. So I appreciate it, man. I just want to say a couple of things to you, Stephen, man, and give my thoughts, and I'm going to get off here, man. First of all, I absolutely agree with what you said earlier in your commentary. Alabama is, a shaky number 2 because we hadn't been consistent. I think everybody knows that. We're not the same Bama that we're used to because we've been on top for so long, so we are accustomed to being dominant. We're accustomed to having that defense. We're accustomed to having that quarterback per se. We're accustomed to having those DBs in the back and that stellar defense. But now we're in this kind of like a rebuilding phase. We got this young quarterback. We got these young kids. And I agree with what your caller said. These guys are discouraged because of whatever. So we got a lot going on right now, so and every college goes through that, but Alabama has been so consistent over the past decade. So Alabama has an absolute standard because everybody looks to Alabama and Nick Saban and how he built this strong juggernaut college team. So now we're a little bit shaky. So everybody's kind of like, oh my God, so I totally agree with that. Yeah, we're a shaky number 2. Yes, we are. So I just wanted to get your thoughts, Stephen, man, on the development of Kool-Aid. Everybody, I'm a Kool-Aid fan. I like to see the kid more. I want to get your thoughts on his development, how he's coming along. And also, if we win out, and of course, we face Georgia, what do you think our chances are of winning the SEC and like you said, going to the national championship? And one more thing, I totally agree with you on this New Mexico State thing. We have to put the stamp on it. We can't just play around with the play calls. Go ahead and put your best play makers on there. Let's go ahead and put the stamp on it. Blow them out 55-0 to show the college committee that we're serious, that we are serious contenders and stand at number 2. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on the development of Kool-Aid and how he's doing, and what's our chances of taking care of Georgia this year and going to the national championship. Thanks, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So the development of Kool-Aid's doing well. And we're going to start to see more of him going back to he made the start against LSU. Saban very pleased with what he did. If you talk to teammates about him, Jamison Williams likes his style. Malachi Moore likes his style. DJ Dale likes his style. Like, Kool-Aid can play. And with more reps, he's going to get better and better and better. It's just getting him more out there on the field. But he's got the potential to be a special defensive back on the field. It's just getting him more out there so we can see all that he brings to the table. And as far as the shot there against Georgia, Alabama wins out, and it faces Georgia potentially in the SEC championship. I still think Bama has a chance there, and that's due to Georgia hasn't truly been tested defensively just yet. Now, of course, that all goes back to the offensive line and Doug Marrone being able to protect Bryce Young in that pocket. If they're able to do that, then that's a big-time deal. But Georgia, to me, when I watch them on defense, and they're a juggernaut on defense, absolutely, taking nothing away from them, but they have not had that friction. They have not had that work. They have not been tested yet. So if Alabama's offensive line can get everything cleaned up, moving down the road here, we can see a team that can test Georgia. But we got my man Tobias Brookins, that $20 donation, helping us out here on the show. Appreciate that love from Tobias and the super chats right there. Is that Jimmy Clay again? Yes, it is Jimmy Clay again. And Jimmy Clay, let's see here, John. Jimmy Clay with that, is that 10? Is that $10 donation? $20 donation right there from Jimmy Clay. And then our own Bill from New York, Big Bill, that $5 donation from him. The daily super chat goal of $75 has been met. Appreciate all of you for the support right there. We're going to go to a quick topic here, and we transition to one Will Anderson, of whom his teammates are endorsing him for the Heisman Trophy race right now. So Will Anderson on the season with 21 tackles for loss leads the team. He's having an incredible year. 21 tackles for loss. He has the most tackles for loss in a single season, in one single season, of anybody of the Saban era. Prior to Anderson this year, Quentin Williams in 2018 had 19 and a half tackles for loss. So a big year for Will Anderson. He's got 10 and a half sacks on the season. He's tied for 5th all time in Alabama history for a single season in terms of sacks. When you look at, he shares that with Jonathan Allen from 2016, 2015, Tim Williams, 1992, with the bookends, Eric Curry and John Copeland. But Will Anderson, the teammates got him in this Heisman conversation right now, deserves to be brought up in the talk. But we take a break right here, folks, on Touch That Down. Callers, hold through. We'll get back to you after getting a chance to talk with Justin Smith, or you can call back in. But if you're already on the line, if you can hold through the call line, absolutely fantastic right there. But we take a break here. When we get back, we sit down with our own Justin Smith to talk about the recruiting weekend that was last week and what could we see moving forward for the Tide on the recruiting trail right after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters.
Look at all these great players in Touchdown Alabama magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe, DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2624 today.
Christian.
We're back into the action here, folks, from the break. Number one ticket for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Wednesday hump day. We go to the In My Own Words hotline. We pick up the superstar, the legend, the baddest man when it comes down to scouting out these athletes on the recruiting trail. Our own Justin Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Justin, what's going on, brother?
Happy to be on with you, Stephen.
Absolutely great to have Justin on the show right now. So, Justin, the big news was Mr. Isaiah Hastings, the four-star defensive lineman, gave his verbal for the Crimson Tide for the 2022 class. The young man originally from Canada, so he shares something that John Mechie, who's already here, shares in terms of hometown is concerned. But what did this move mean for the Crimson Tide? What jumped out to you upon watching, studying Hastings' tape here?
This is a good pickup for Alabama. Of course, they want to continue to add defensive linemen to their 2022 recruiting class. It is a position that is going to continue to be a priority for them moving forward. Just looking at this 2022 class, they want to add some more defensive linemen. So getting a guy like Hastings was pretty good for the Crimson Tide, especially when you take a look at what he brings to the table, standing at 6'5", weighing approximately 290 pounds. Although he has not played as much football as some other guys in this 2022 recruiting class, especially some of the more top-ranked guys, you could not tell that by watching his senior film at Clearwater Academy International in Clearwater, Florida. He shows some explosiveness off the snap, moves really good in space, and he continues to go after the football throughout the play. He rarely gives up on plays. You can just watch his highlight film. You see plays where the play is basically on the other side of the field, or the runner or ball carrier is going up the field, and you see him chasing down the ball carrier. So he's a guy who's a relentless player, a guy who continues to chase after the play, great backside pursuit. So the Crimson Tide are getting a guy who they can mold and shape at the next level, a guy with a lot of potential who Alabama's coaching staff really seemed to like. Once they offered him in September, they immediately put the hard press on for him. It was immediately a committable offer for him. So the Crimson Tide are lucky to have a commitment from the Canada native.
Absolutely. So, Justin, going back to last week, it was a huge week for Alabama in recruiting, a lot of visitors on campus for the LSU game. And you got a chance to talk to a lot of these young men and interview them and get their thoughts on the atmosphere, the emotions of the game, just what did they see, what did they like, what did they enjoy. So just coming from the ones you spoke with, what was the reaction from a lot of those young men that visited over the week?
Well, they love the atmosphere for the Alabama-LSU game. I know a lot of Alabama fans were not comfortable with how close the game was, but the recruits who were in attendance, they really liked how engaged the fans were. Matter of fact, I just finished up an interview with a four-star offensive lineman in the 2023 class, and he told me that he loved every bit of it. He loved how involved the crowd was. He said he felt the crowd was more involved than the players were because of how hyped the crowd was. And you saw how hyped Alabama was. You could just tell that by even watching them on TV, watching that game on ESPN. You could just tell how hyped Alabama's team was just to be involved in a tight game, especially the defense during the later parts of that matchup. So they really enjoyed the atmosphere, the atmosphere the fans created. They also enjoyed the light show that is present inside Bryant-Denny Stadium for every night game now.
If you're just tuning into the show on a Wednesday, we got my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine on the In My Own Words hotline right now on a Wednesday. So, Justin, we're coming up on the early signing period, the early signing date where a lot of these young men, if you're prepared to sign early, if you want to sign early, if you want to get this done quickly, you can. So with this coming up next month, kind of size us up, Justin, line us up to where how many more guys is Alabama targeting as it's trying to get some players to sign that national letter of intent come next month?
I say right now it is a good chance Alabama is at this moment targeting still more than 15 guys, in my opinion. Of course, they will not get all 15 guys, but just looking at some of the guys who they are recruiting at the moment, you can pretty much say that it is around 15 guys who could still possibly commit to Alabama. I think the Crimson Tide is going to want to get a good group of those guys moving forward. Of course, they have 19 commits at the moment. In the past, we have seen Nick Saban and their coaching staff try to get as many guys to sign during the early signing period, so you know what you have basically in the bag heading into the traditional signing period if you have to sign a couple of guys in February. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this recruiting year plays out, because we have previously seen around the country where basically, I say 80 to 85% of a recruiting class signs their national letter of intent during the early signing period, and the other 20 to 15% signs during the traditional signing period. A lot of guys are still on the board this year compared to last year. Last year, it seemed like a lot of guys had locked in their verbal commitment by now, but with COVID going on and guys finally getting an opportunity to visit during the summer and also during this season, there are still a lot of high-profile guys who have not announced a verbal pledge. So it'll be interesting to see if we do have a larger percentage of guys possibly holding off to the traditional signing period, or guys mostly locking in during the early signing period. So I think the Crimson Tide 2022 recruiting class is well intact at the moment. I think the guys who they do have verbal commitments from will stick with them. It all depends on if they can get a couple of guys added to this particular group, possibly flip some guys. We can take a look at 5-star defensive back DeMonte Jackson or 5-star offensive lineman Keontae Goodwin. So those are just some of the quick recruiting storylines to pay attention to, with the early signing period being a little over a month away now.
He is Justin Smith, people, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, breaking down the Crimson Tide on the recruiting trail as the early signing period coming up next month. Coach Saban trying to get as many guys put pen to paper as he can for December. Justin, as always, man, we appreciate you coming on to share the information, the news, the nuggets with us. You take care of yourself, brother. Be good.
You do the same, too.
Always fun having Justin on the show to talk Crimson Tide recruiting. We're going to go to a break right here, but when we get back, we return to you, the Tide Nation. We get your phone calls, your chats, your thoughts, your conversations. A dialogue with you is right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your four-finger bling necklace.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Marvin Constant, All-SEC linebacker and 1999 SEC champion. You are listening to In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwill Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to WhitwillSports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full-year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
Back into the action here, folks, from the break of a number one ticket for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine, here on a Wednesday. Before we go to the phone lines to take your calls, an update here from the Coach Saban press conference on this evening. Our own Patrick Dow, breaking news writer for TDA, was involved in the presser, and per Coach Saban, it's still uncertain for Darian Dalcourt, who suffered a lateral ankle sprain against LSU. His status still uncertain. Coach Saban cannot call it just yet on whether he will play or not against the Aggies. If he does not play, if Dalcourt cannot go, per Saban, Seth McLaughlin would be next in line at that center position. I know we've seen a lot of Chris Owens at center, especially last year, where he filled in admirably for an injured Landon Dickerson. But per Coach Saban, if Dalcourt is not able to go, if he cannot push it against New Mexico State, then we could see Seth McLaughlin take the field. Appreciate our own Patrick Dow, breaking news writer, in that presser right there. We go to the phone lines and take your calls. Calls have been brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang. We grab a call here. You're live on the show on a Wednesday. What's happening? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Stephen M. It's Robert from Mobile.
Rob, what's happening, brother?
Hey, it's really tough to hear about the center, but I guess he shouldn't plan on playing this weekend anyway, and we should get more depth in that position against New Mexico State. So here's another opportunity for somebody to get their chance to show what they can do, and keep everybody off of Bryce Young. So here's your opportunity. I think we should rest them until the Arkansas game, then get him back into the mix. So hopefully he can, sit out for this weekend. I fully expect he will, and to get ready for Arkansas. And right now, when he calls that, said that Alabama is shaky number two. Alabama is a shaky number two, and what's our chances against Georgia? If we're shaky number two, and I agree with him, we are shaky number two, then right now we can't beat Georgia. Our shaky number two is not going to beat Georgia. Alabama's going to have to improve and get back to their A game again. It's going to take their A game to beat Georgia. If we're shaking number two, and we all agree, yep, it's what we've seen this season, it's what we saw last weekend, we're shaking number two, then we're not going to beat Georgia. There you go. If any players are listening, there you go. You got to get yourself not being a shaky number two, and start playing that A game again. That's what will beat Georgia, this team is capable of that. You just got to go out and actually do it. The game against New Mexico State is not going to impress anybody in the committee, not going to impress anybody in college football, not going to impress anybody on ESPN. Beating down in New Mexico State is for you players. You do it for yourself. To play, like they say, keep saying 4 quarters. To play, to show what it's like that you are capable of beating down someone for 4 quarters and keeping them down. So this game is for yourself, not for the committee, not for the ESPN analysts, not for anybody else, because no one's going to be impressed if we beat New Mexico State by 50 points. But it is for you guys, for you to do it, and because, like you said, it's been a while since we had a good game, a good consistent game. I will agree. I think the game against Mississippi State was a good game for a quarter. I think the game against Ole Miss was a good game for 4 quarters. And even Miami to an extent, that was a good game. But those have been few and far in between. Now the consistency needs to start. So you need to beat this team down by not getting 50 points in this game for the offense would be criminal. The offense must score 50 points or better against New Mexico State. The offensive line must block and allow Brian Robinson and the other running backs to get well over 100 yards, and we should be knocking on the door of 300 yards rushing in this game to completely put that last week behind, because being one of the worst displays in the history of Alabama football as far as running goes. So now here's the time to flip the script. You flip the script on that last game. You make it look like you could run for 1,000 yards on this team if you wanted to. That's what you have to do this weekend. Jaleel Billingsley, wake up. We need you back in the lineup. Start catching some balls. Start catching across the middle. Here's a golden opportunity for that. Right, to bring in more players than just having the 2 wide receivers, Jameson Williams and Mechie. It's time for the tight ends to get involved, and more, and other players too. Bill O'Brien, you did a great job of calling out Bill O'Brien. That's what you have to have, Bill O'Brien. You got to beat this team down. 50 points is 50 points, less than 50 points in this game, and then you've not done your job. That's what the attitude has to be going in for the offense. Defense, they did a great job in the last game. They saved our butts. I wouldn't lose my mind over a garbage touchdown at the end of that game, at the end of the New Mexico State game. I'll be fine. Garbage touchdown, that's nothing to lose our minds about. But it should be a complete beatdown. It's a 51.5 point spread. We should cover that spread. And the team should be determined to put that last game behind them. So this is what this game is for. Not for anybody else in college football, because no one's going to be impressed if you beat this team by 55 points. But just for your own psyche, and then you wash, rinse, and repeat when it comes to Arkansas. So that's what's at stake. Not beating this team by that much will mess up the psyche of the team. And I disagree with Senator. I respect Senator Ohio. I do disagree with him on the on the Alabama fan. I've heard no one level any criticism against a team that was not fair. And critique a fair criticism of what you see is not being a disloyal fan. And it's not a bad thing. It is what it is. So hopefully and I think we'll see it in this next game. And we had to wash, rinse, and repeat. And the 2 games of the season is going to be the Iron Bowl, which right now we're shaky. It's 50-50. We'll win that game. And right now against Georgia, we cannot beat them. You guys got to flip that script. All right, man. Thanks for listening to me.
Appreciate Robert from Mobile with those thoughts right here on the show. We grabbed this call. You were live on the show on a Wednesday. What's happening with you? State your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, Steven, how you doing?
Doing well, man, and yourself?
Good. This is Coach Buddy down from Montgomery, Alabama high school football team. Assistant coach.
Coach Buddy, what's happening?
Good. How about you?
I'm good, man. I'm fantastic.
Well, a couple things I want to say. First of all, Nick Saban's done an incredible job for Alabama. I mean, what an incredible coach he is. But the game against New Mexico State, will we see more of the Corey Brooks and Kershawn Holden and Ajay Hall?
That would be something that a lot of people will look for, and I feel like that will come down to how quickly can the first-string offense lay down the law here in that first quarter. First-string offense gets its job done in the first quarter. That I think we should see some Ja'Cory Brooks. We should see some Ajay Hall. We should see some Christian Leary, some JoJo Earl, some of these young guys. So that comes down to the first-team group handle that business in the first quarter.
And I got one more question for you, Steven.
Go ahead.
I got a guy down here from Montgomery by the name of Jacob Temple, recruiting for Alabama. Look out for him. He's a 6'5" wide receiver. I mean, the speedster, and gave us so many touchdowns over the years. I think he's got a career of 12 touchdowns here. So look forward to seeing Alabama recruiting him.
Absolutely. We're going to get Justin on that. 6'5" receiver out of Montgomery. Got to get Justin on that guy. Got to get that guy here. Appreciate Coach Buddy there for that call coming out of Montgomery. We take this call here. You are live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, how's it going? This is Tobias from Fresno.
Tobias, what's happening, brother? How we feeling, man?
Oh, we feeling real good, man. We feeling real good, getting ready for this weekend. Just once again, keep doing a good job, man. And also to all the veterans out there, we just appreciate you. Greatest nation in the world. God bless America, man, and all the liberties that we have and the ability to worship our God freely, for the most part, and just thinking of what all of our veterans do, both men and women around the world, man, 6 branches of the military. And, it's just pretty powerful. So I just want to give that tribute, first of all, to all the veterans and just let them know that we're, what's going on here? Let them know that we're, this is my thing, man, done went off. Hold on 1 second. So, there we go. So, I got some thoughts, though, man, for you. So, I've been listening to the callers, man. I'm kind of with Coach Soup on this. I'm a little bit disappointed, man, with the accompaniment of some of the Alabama fans, man. We supposed to be the smartest, savviest people in football. In fact, we get compliments. That's what I love about this show. That's what I love about being on the chats, is that, we have a level of IQ when it comes to football. We know what we're looking at, and so, and who are these people on the chat? And I'm glad everybody's on the chat talking about Georgia this, Georgia that. It's like, y'all need to calm down with all of that, man. Last year, who won the SEC East? Not SEC. Who won the SEC East last year? I don't remember that being Georgia. Do y'all remember that being Georgia? Stephen, am I wrong? Who won last year? I'm kind of confused.
Florida won the SEC East last year.
Oh, Florida did. So I'm wondering how Georgia fans okay, so I think they won it the year before, but who won the SEC the year before?
Who won the SEC the year before? That would be 2020. Bama won the SEC last year.
So I guess I'm just kind of confused why these Georgia fans pounding their chests, talking about what's going to happen. Just go, y'all just need to get, since you're on YouTube, and check out 2017 National Championship fan reaction. Y'all need to look up some of those videos so you can see what your reaction is going to be. Cheering until you losing. So stop all of that until y'all do something. When you do something, then you can get on the chat and say, yeah, and all of that. So enough of that, please. The next thing, Steve, I wanted to point out to the Bama fans is I'm also looking at the new kids to get in. I agree, man. And I was an athlete, scholar athlete, and I can tell you it's tough, man, sitting behind somebody that you know you better than. That's rough. So I ain't mad at Banks or nobody else for saying, you know what, Deuces, I got to get some playing time because I know I'm better than this. It's rough, Steve. I can tell you, bro. And back then when I was playing, you couldn't transfer without punishment. So the fact that these kids can transfer if they need to, you watching somebody, drop balls and, come on, y'all. Look, that last game, people was talking about coaching, and I'm with you on it, and I read your commentary, and I agree with you, Steve. But come on, man. Cameron Latu, he dropped that ball, hit him right in the chest. And he dropped the ball the first series. That's not, you could say that's coaching in terms of preparation, but those are his hands, though. He has to catch the ball. So these kids, I think they living on the reputation of Alabama, and they have not embraced the work that it takes to be in that uniform. They have to live up to that, man. And so if they choose not to this year, we won't win the SEC and we won't win the national championship. But that won't be because of anything but the intangibles. To everyone that's yelling about the kids getting, the young kids getting in, and I want to see a Jai Hall. I want to see Ja'Cory. I want to see all of them in. Remember that 2017 championship. Who ended up in that game, Steve? I got a list. I got it in front of me. Leatherwood ended up in that game. All the freshmen. You got me, man. All the freshmen ended up in that game. Could it be that we're about to start seeing them come and take the reins? That could be happening. Nick Saban today said that Seth McLaughlin, that he made this statement before he said, we have to go with the best person. We have to go with, no matter how someone feels like they would want to do their best, we have to go with somebody who can actually execute and da-da-da-da-da. So it might be Seth, but I'm hoping, because it was Leatherwood, Najee, Tua, Smith, Jerry, Judy, Ruggs, all of them ended up being the reason why we were able to put the capstone where it needed to be. And I'll say this, and I know I got to get off. I've been on a long time. I have noticed that our recruiting has shifted. We keep the number one. We always number one, number two, number one, number two. But Steve, have you noticed that we are recruiting for smaller, quicker linebackers? I think Coach Shoup was talking about it yesterday. Quicker linebackers because of this spread. And one of the things we're seeing with Georgia, since all these Georgia fans want to keep getting on here, is that they are still big. So yes, they have speed from sideline to sideline, and they got a lot of old men playing. So you're going to have some expertise there. But I do notice that our offensive line is not as sizable in terms of the veterans that they really can push. And I talked to you before about our defensive line and the point of attack. So those will be issues Those are issues that we've had over this year, and something that I don't think is insurmountable. And I said this too, Steve, and people weren't listening, I don't think, because I looked at the chat and I was like, they didn't even get it. But everyone's talking about we're a shaky 2. Well, who's 3? Who's 4? Who's 5? Who's 6? Who's 7? Y'all putting them in front of us? It's okay to say Georgia undefeated. That's SEC. They had an SEC schedule. We're going to respect that until we meet them. But everyone else is struggling. But that's what it means to be on the top, Bama fans. When you're at the top of the mountain, you judge yourself by yourself. And the reason why we're irritated with this year is because our standard is our standard. Roll Tide. And I'll give in the chat.
Appreciate Tobias Brookins there for the call right there. We continue with calls here on a Wednesday. We grab this one right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hi, Stephen. Bill from New York. That was
My
a good
man
call.
Bill,
that was
what's
a really
happening,
good
brother?
call. Well, first I want to start with I'm not as concerned as others seem to be about these transfers. And the reason is, look, Saban is putting in the players he thinks should be in there. And only Jesus Christ is perfect. But Saban, I got to assume when he makes decisions, I got to assume he's usually 99% of the time right. He's not doing these things for no reason. Like, for instance, with Billingsley, I thought he was going to be in the next Kyle Pitts. I really did. He's not. Maybe he can be, but he needs to work harder. Saban knows that. He sat him. My point is, he knows what he's doing. Now, as far as everything is Georgia. I'm going to say, and you touched on it before. You know how you can win football games? You know how you could beat Georgia is by them not scoring. I don't know how great their offense is, but what I do know is I love what I saw from our defense last week. And I want to see, I haven't heard anything about Sanders coming back, but I'd love to see him and Dallas Turner get about 5-6 sacks between them. And I know rat poison and all of that, but it was up to me. I would sit Will Anderson for a lot of that game because we're going to need him down the stretch. He's the best player in the NCAA. And if we get up a few points, we could win without him, is what I'm saying. Our defense is going to get better. We're going to get better. We're going to start hitting quarterbacks a lot more. We're going to just keep on doing it. What do you think, Stephen?
Now, of course, Bill, we appreciate Bill for that call. Drew Sanders played against LSU. He played. He warmed up in pregame. He was out there, had a club on his right hand, but he played. He was running around the field, going to get even more acclimated and get even more of the feeling back into his hand as he continues to play. But having Drew out there, having Dallas Turner out there, getting all those young guys involved is going to be huge for Alabama to take even more of that pressure off of Will Anderson from a pass rush perspective. But we grab this call here. You're live on the show on a Wednesday. What's happening? State your name and where you're calling from.
What's up, Steven? This is Sean from Huntsville.
Sean, what's happening, man?
Hey, brother, how you doing, man? Just wanted to call real quick and say and tell you real quick 2 things. I know you got other callers. I'll make it quick. I know you got connections on the campus, Steven. I need for you to get in contact with the next person that you talk to from staff. Please tell them kids, them young players, to put their mouthpiece in, man. The kids we have now in high school here at James Clemens, when the young men come out of their dig routes, come out of their slant routes, they steals, if the mouthpiece is flopping around, it take away from the concentration of catching the ball. I'm so shocked that Coach Saban or whoever don't say nothing to these kids. These kids out there with their mouthpiece out. I see the middle linebackers with their mouthpiece out. I don't even understand how you brace for contact with your mouthpiece out. That's just crazy to me. I don't even understand that. But real quick, I keep hearing everybody, tweet at the Georgia fans and man, listen, man, this is the reality of it. Georgia is undefeated, brother. Georgia's undefeated. Those guys deserve all their flowers. You got to give it to them, whether we want to or not. When we was undefeated last year, destroying everyone, we as Bama fans got upset that people hating on us. Georgia deserves every credit they're getting right now. Please stop arguing with these Georgia fans because in the words of Coach Saban at the football clinic, He said, all you can do as fans or players is ask for an opportunity. Well, guess what? We got an opportunity. We just got to take care of our business and not, lose again. We looked terrible at first game of the season, the first half against Florida. We didn't look very good the first half against Mercer. We didn't look good in Texas A&M and took an L. We couldn't run the ball against Tennessee. And we didn't look very good against a freshman in Mason Smith and a sophomore in Jaquelin Roy against LSU. We got to worry about ourselves, man. Stop worrying about Georgia and what they're doing. Give Georgia their respect. They have destroyed every team they played. The Florida team that dropped almost 30 on us, they couldn't do nothing against Georgia. Give those dudes their credit. Let their fans talk because we have an opportunity to close their mouth. All we got to do is take care of our business, go out and win these few games, and we'll get our opportunity to take care of our business. Let them say what they want to say. Don't even get flustered about them. Just want to say roll tide to everybody. Love what you do, Steven. And as always, brother, I'll be here to support.
Absolutely. Appreciate Sean from Huntsville for that call. And go back to his question about the players with the mouthpiece. I will try to get in contact with a couple of people I know to get that situated as well. We continue with calls. We grab this one. You're live on the show on a Wednesday. What's happening? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Stephen, Max from Boston. Thanks for taking the call.
We got a man from Boston in the building. What's happening, Max?
Hey, Stephen, I actually went to Brown, and Bill O'Brien was in my class at Brown.
Really?
Yeah, class of 92. So I remember, I wasn't friends with him, but I knew him then. So it's very cool to see him down working the sidelines with Saban. And, he took over he obviously took over the Penn State job, and Joe Paterno also went to Brown. So interesting to see him down there. Stephen, quick question. What have you been hearing about Christian Leary?
Christian Leary is the emergency running back for Alabama. He's getting reps behind Brian Robinson, Roydell Williams, Trey Sanders. I want to see him more so used as a receiver at some point in the kickoff return game at some point because of his 10-5 type of speed, that burst, that acceleration. But right now he is an emergency running back.
And so is he going to be getting any time on receiver, or is that more for next year?
That could be more for next year. Now, I want to see what happens in this game against New Mexico State. If Bama's first-team offense goes out there and lays down the law and doesn't sting, maybe we see Christian Leary against the Aggies on Saturday. But if not, definitely come next spring, you're going to see Leary.
Stephen, who's the freshman that no one's talking about now that you're most excited about?
The freshman no one's talking about now, but I'm most excited about. Good question. I'm really excited about Terrion Arnold. I mean, this dude he can play corner, he can play safety, he can play nickel, but the guy's a natural safety. But Terrion Arnold from Florida, that guy right there. Appreciate Max from Boston for that call there. Terrion Arnold's a guy I'm excited about as a freshman. But we grabbed this call here. You're live on the show on a Wednesday. What's happening? What's going on? State your name. Where you calling from?
It's Kyle from Foley.
Here we go.
How you doing, Mr. Smith?
I cannot complain here, Kyle. How are you?
Listen, people, when it comes to college football, it's Alabama and then it's everybody else. Whether it's Ohio State, Clemson, Texas, Georgia, Florida, LSU, it does not matter. When it comes to college football, it's that red A with them silky, slick white uniforms. People are calling on this show and have lost their mind. The championship king is still at the top. The championship king has not been dethroned. Alabama is still the king of college football until someone steps up and knocks them out. So I don't want to hear another word about, we almost beat Alabama or Jerron. You need to be working down there at damn Wilcox County cafeteria. So for all these Georgia, Auburn, Arkansas, whoever's left on the schedule, you better get ready. You better pray because it's November.
and it's time for the champion to take his crown.
Hey, I mean, I'm gonna say this: if Kyle, I don't know what Kyle does for a living, but he would make a great WWE announcer. Going into the ring with Kyle from Foley as the narrator, I would be ready to whoop up on the Big Show, on Mr. T, on Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't care who you put out there in that ring. If you had me going in there with Kyle from Foley narrating me, I'm ready to go to war. Anyway, we grab this call right here. You're live on the show on a Wednesday. What's going on?
Steven, it's Justin Riley. I tell you what, I am following up some very entertaining phone calls. I don't know if I can live up to the expectation at this point.
Take a shot, though, Justin. Take a shot.
I take a shot. Well, my biggest concern right now is not Georgia. Right now it's Doug Marrone. We're 10 games in, and the product we have on the field in regards to the offensive line is totally unacceptable. And people want to say, well, oh, they're young. Well, to me, young is games 1, 2, and 3, not game 10. At this point, we're supposed to see maturity. We're supposed to be seeing growth. So my question is, what is Doug Marrone teaching them at this point? Because it's not showing up on the field. And as great as our offense can be, and I believe if we're hitting on all cylinders, if we do play Georgia, I think that we can give them all they want and beat them with the type of offense we do have. However, that's all null and void if that same offensive line product we have is on the field against that front seven.
And I agree with that. And you look at, and I mentioned this before, you have one guy on the offensive line that you know what he's going to give, and that's Evan Neal at left tackle. You know every week what Evan Neal is going to provide at that spot. You need to have 4 other guys that dig in and that want it just that bad. And this week against New Mexico State, Bama's going to have to find some guys who want it just that bad. I go back to last year. People don't understand how bad Landon Dickerson wanted it, how bad Alex Leatherwood wanted it, how bad Deontay Brown wanted it, how bad Evan Neal, as a second-year player then, wanted it. You look at how they gelled together, how they worked together, how they were all in for each other. You look at this offensive line, I don't see that cohesion. I don't see that bond. I don't see that brotherhood. I don't see that mixture. I do not see that with this offensive line. It's Evan Neal and everybody else looking lost. So Marrone, this group, they've got to find some way, whether they got to barbecue together, play in a kiddie pool together, go bowling together, play patty cake together. I don't care what the heck you got to do. Find some way to get some cohesion here on this offensive line after Evan Neal. But appreciate Justin Riley for that call right there. We grab this call. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
This is Stacy Doggone Johnson, Hatch-Chubby, Alabama. I've been on hold. I called and everybody, you just hung the phone up on me.
No, I answered the question. I asked the question for you.
You didn't answer my question. I told you where I was from, and you said Alabama. I didn't even get a chance to answer my question.
Go ahead with the question, my man. My bad. Go ahead.
Is Bill O'Brien going to get daggone fired? That's all I really want to know.
Is Bill O'Brien going to get fired? You know what? We shall see. We shall see. I mean, he's had some good moments, but he's also had some highly inconsistent moments. So we shall see. Right now, I'd be leaning toward looking to see if there's another offensive coordinator out there. But we shall see. But we appreciate that call, though. Absolutely. Will Bill O'Brien get fired? That's definitely a question to put there on the back burner. We actually have a voicemail we're going to get to from a caller out of Birmingham. So, John, I'll play the voicemail.
Hey, Stephen, this is Vess calling from Birmingham. I love your show, man. I really do. But my question is that, I'm frustrated with the Alabama offensive coordinator, too. But why is it that this year Bill O'Brien is calling from the booth instead of down on the field? I'm just curious about that. But anyway, have a good day.
Appreciate that call right there from my man out of Birmingham, Bill O'Brien. And the only reason I could say as to why he's on the booth is maybe Alabama, if they were to put him on the field, it would exceed the limit of the amount of coaches, assistant coaches you can have on the field at one time, because there is an NCAA rule limit about the number of coaches or the amount of coaches you can have on the sideline. So that would be the only reason why O'Brien would be in the booth. If not that reason, I have no idea why, because normally the OC is on the field helping out with the quarterback, making sure the quarterback calm, cool, collected, look to the sideline, hey, bro, I got you. We saw this with Lane Kiffin with Blake Sims, Lane Kiffin with Jalen Hurts, Steve Sarkisian with Tua Tagovailoa and Mac Jones, Michael Locksley, Brian Daboll, they were all on the field. So I don't know why O'Brien is in the booth. The only thought I can think of is it a situation where if you would put him on the field, you would exceed the number or amount of coaches needed to be on the field? But appreciate that thought there. We got another voicemail right here, Jen. Let's hear this one.
Stephen, Coach Saban's always speaking of creating value for yourself. Do you think that Bill O'Brien or Pete Golding are creating value for themselves at this point? Could be a rhetorical question, just something to ponder. Thank you, Stephen. We appreciate your podcast.
O'Brien and Pete Golding, are they creating value for themselves? This is a good question right here. As of right now, I don't see any major program asking about Bill O'Brien. I don't see any major program asking about Pete Golding. So right now, if there is value, it is very, very little, which means those two have to step their game up. Now, I know U.S. fans have been talking about get rid of Golding, get rid of O'Brien, get rid of both of them. We shall see what happens after this season right here. But have they created a ton of value? No. You're not seeing these major programs. Hey, Coach Saban, what's Bill O'Brien looking like? Hey, Coach Saban, tell me something about Pete Golding over here. You're not seeing a lot of big-time programs after these two particular coaches, but hey, it is what it is there. We go to a quick topic here as we transition to one Bryce Young, the sophomore quarterback, first-year starter for Alabama. He is a semifinalist, one of 16 semifinalists for the Davey O'Brien National Quarterback of the Year Award. And, Bryce has had a strong season. I remember Bucky Brooks of NFL Network, he makes the statement for quarterbacks out there, you're either a truck or a trailer. Either you're pulling the team most of the time, or the team is pulling you most of the time. Bryce Young is a truck. He has been pulling this football team. He's had to overcome problems with the offensive line. He's had to overcome receivers dropping passes. He's had to overcome, spotty offensive play calling. He's had to overcome a lot of things. And still, Bryce Young, top 10 in the country for passing yards, top 10 for touchdown passes, top 10 for passer rating, top 10 for QBR. Bryce Young is tied for 5th all-time in school history for single-season touchdown passes. He shares the number 5 mark with A.J. McCarron from 2013, Blake Sims from 2014, both of those two 28 touchdown passes. He also has 30 total touchdowns, which ties him for 7th all-time for a single season in school history. He shares that with Najee Harris, who had 30 touchdowns last year, 26 rushing and 4 on the receiving end. But kudos to the Bryce Young right there, semifinalist for the Davey O'Brien National Quarterback of the Year Award. We go to a final break here, folks. Don't touch that dial, because when we get back, I will get into this is a game against New Mexico State where you got to see even more of these young players get involved. And I'll talk about that after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to STSfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to STSfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
As we are back in from the break of a number one forum for Bama football news, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciating everybody writing in, calling in, texting in, chatting in, donating in, making this your show, your channel, your platform, your network for all things Crimson Tide, letting your passion, your opinions ooze through the chat line and the phone lines as well. But before we get into the final topic of conversation, got to remind you, tdaware.com. That's tdaware.com. For all of you fans still overjoyed with the Crimson Tide's national championship from the 2020 campaign, we want you to check out our championship collection merch. This means you grab you an 18 of them things, folk, hoodie, t-shirt, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs that feature all 18 championship years on the back. You head on over to tdaware.com. Do it right now, tdaware.com. You go over to Championship Collections merch tab, and you get you that gear today, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Now, we look at this game right here against New Mexico State and the importance of this game, as Robert from Mobile mentioned. This game was for the Alabama players. You got to want to dominate this team. You got to want to put this team in the dirt. You got to want to show your marquee elite play over this team, suffocate this team, and be able to make night work and then go into the next games with the confidence that you have carrying it from this particular matchup. But for me, this is an opportunity for a lot of these young guys to take this field. And I just remember when this 2021 class was signed, when all 27 players, including 8 5-stars, put their name on their national letter of intent, the general consensus was this is the greatest class, the best class that Saban has ever signed. I've never seen anything like this class right here. Put it on the board. This class is something special. And when you hear certain trigger words, or you hear certain words that grab your attention, you want to see it in action. You want to see what everybody's talking about. You want to be able to take part in that. And everybody's been asking, okay, if this is the greatest class ever signed, why are these guys not on the field? Why are we not seeing more of these guys? Where are these guys at? Can we get them more so on the field so we can see the special that everybody has been talking about? And I know for the majority of this season, we have not seen a lot of these young men take the field here as freshmen. But here's a chance here against New Mexico State. I go back to, if the first team offense does its job, lay down the law, handle business, we should be able to see a lot more of these freshmen get this opportunity to take the field and show what they can do. Starting this thing off with Kool-Aid McKinstry. I mean, he's got 2 starts under his belt. I understand it's 2 starts under his belt. Both games, did a good job, played smooth, played well, got his first career interception against Mercer. If you talk to teammates about him, they say he's got that killer mentality. He used to have the little Chucky doll on him, and he's brought that Chucky doll killer mentality to the Alabama defensive secondary. And talking to Jamison Williams, he looks at Kool-Aid, hey, this guy's tough. He does some things in practice that I've never seen defensive backs do. You look at DJ Dale saying some of the same things about McKinstry. Going back to the spring, Coach Saban could say nothing else but Kool-Aid. It was Kool-Aid, 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 Kool-Aid all spring and summer long. So we're about to see more of this young man on the field, especially with Marcus Banks in the transfer portal. So it's going to be exciting to see all that this young man in McKinstry can bring, can provide, can do, coverage skills, ball skills, tackling skills, attacking the football. Going to be nice to see that because he does bring a lot to the table. And then not just him, Dallas Turner is growing, and he's growing fast, and he's hanging around Will Anderson. That should tell you this young man is growing fast. Dallas Turner is in the film room watching game tape with Will Anderson. Anderson talks about, hey, this guy loves football. He's hungry. He wants it. Football is important to him. It means something to him. He is one of those guys on the rise. So for Dallas Turner, how much more can he keep growing? How much faster can he continue to grow and come up and come up and come up? Because you get a situation where you got Will Anderson rushing your quarterback and you got Dallas Turner rushing your quarterback. That could be something real nice right there. So Dallas Turner, you got to see more of him. You got to have more of him on the field because now he's got a lot of confidence. Coming off that LSU game where he got in there, 5 total tackles, 2 sacks. He got a piece of Max Johnson twice, 2 tackles for loss. He saw his name as one of the 7 players of the week by the Alabama coaching staff. That builds up a young man's confidence as a freshman. Now he's thinking, man, if I could do this once, I can do it again. And I can do it again, and I can do it again. So keep your eyes here on number 15, Dallas Turner. He's one growing very, very quickly. Want to see him more so on the field. And you've got, receivers. You all have talked about, can we see more of a Jai Hall? Can we see more of Christian Leary? Can we see more of JoJo Earl? Can we see more of number 7, Ja'Cory Brooks? This is a matchup where that opportunity does present itself. First team offense, go out there, do your thing, handle your business, and then we can see some JoJo Earl more so in the slot. We can see some Jai Hall out there. We can see some Ja'Cory Brooks out there. We can see some Christian Leary out there. I mean, these are all highly talented players. And normally, in games like this against New Mexico State or against lower-tier competition late in the season, Coach Saban has been known for putting young guys on the field, but he only does it when the starters, when the first team group goes out there, executes, handles that business, and you can pull them out of the game early so that you don't risk any injuries on the field. So these young guys get on the field, their opportunity hangs in the balance of how quickly can these older guys make light work of New Mexico State so these young cats can get on the field. And that's even on defense also. When you talk Terrion Arnold, when you talk when you talk Terrion Arnold, when you talk maybe, a couple of young, defensive linemen like your Damon Paynes, like your, Tim Keenan III, it's like your Anquin Barnes, those guys. You go out there, you handle that work. Could we see some of those guys from the 2021 class on the defensive line? Maybe, possibly, but we have to see. It just all goes back to all throughout the offseason, we heard how special this group was, the potential this group had, and just the writing of dominance on the wall for this group of 5-star freshmen in this 2020, in this recent class here. And as much as we've been talking about them and heard about them, you want to see more of these young cats on the field. So hopefully this week or this Saturday against New Mexico State, we can see that happen. But as always, Bama fans, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage here on your favorite program, that being Alabama football. You can get that by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. Now, for your audio listening needs, here we go. iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Overcast.fm, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, got you covered right there. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Friday continuing the conversation that is Bama football. Remember, Tide fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. Also, if you're trying to get the fresh edition, print edition of TDA, the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com, you click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link in the description as well. Also, you're trying to get that 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at weownthefourthquarter.com. That link in the description too. But until next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives, appreciate, value those husbands. Children, you know what time it is. Got school here, doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing. To not be bored, you pick you up, you grab yourself those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself, you protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. You know what it is. Been listening to In My Own Words.